My grandparents own a big cabin, not far from my hometown, but far enough for the air to clear up, smelling of pine trees, grass and fields, instead of humans, factories or cars. I went there every other weekend until I was 14, and I loved it. Still do. My grandmother taught me how to grow vegetables, make compost from organic waste, take care of flowers, appreciate butterflies. It is important to connect with nature, she would say, and let me run around the cabin searching for insects, frogs hiding under the rocks in the nearby river stream, and sly martins in the attic. But butterflies were my favorite. She would say the same thing to my brother, who, despite being 6 years older than me, enjoyed coming with us. He always disappeared for hours, running around the village, woods, the big garden, the creek. No one knew what he was doing. One day when I was 6 or 7, my grandparents and I played hide and seek. As I was trying to find a perfect hiding spot, I spotted my brother. He was alone, stood in front of our well in the back garden, where we grew potatoes and calabrese and mint and black currants and peas. He was laughing at something. I sneaked behind him slowly, carefully, unnoticed, like a lynx tracking its prey, wondering what he was doing. I peeked from the tree I was hiding behind. He held a beautiful, colorful peacock butterfly. He held it in between his fingers, whilst slowly rubbing the scales from the butterfly's wings. I watched it losing its beautiful color in tears, but my brother was laughing. I tried to scream, run, stop him, but I couldn't move, so I watched him placing the butterfly on the water's surface, and then slowly immerse its body in the water. I left the cabin at the end of the weekend knowing that 14 butterflies won't ever color the sky. 28 wings, never again able to fly. Do you remember running on the playground with your friends, no matter if it snows, storms or rains, playing capture the flag, hide and seek, statues and tag, collecting stickers and Pokemon cards, playing with Beyblades and Lego and sticks pretending to be knights? Do you remember riding a bike, rollerblading and skateboarding in a park, climbing the trees, making a flower crown, building dens in the woods, playing with the kids from your town? Do you remember wearing tracksuits that, like activism, were once out of style, but it's enough for one human to wear it with pride, and others will join the fight? Do you remember getting grounded for staying outside after dark, ringing the neighbor's doorbell, and sprinting away, being little mischiefs that meant no harm, reading a book under the covers during the night, watching cartoons on videotapes and creating word art for fun, helping parents clean the house, not having a phone, being outside? Now you know that when you had the time of your life, the leaders of this world already knew that if they didn't do anything, it would be up to our generation to solve what they messed up. We cluelessly enjoyed life thinking it would last, rushed into adulthood, the great big responsibility, leaving our immature past behind. Who would have thought that those 30 years later, we'd still try to find a way to survive in this society that's neither fair nor kind? How to find our voices to speak up and not be hushed, make them listen and act in favor of the future of humankind. At dusk, a vulture's silhouette circles on the bloody sky and then slowly comes closer to the ground. As it sits on top of an elephant's carcass, partly illuminated by the setting sunlight, it looks around and closes its wings. The vulture walks on the enormous body, finding the thinnest skin on the elephant's neck, and sinks its beak in the decomposing flesh. I turn my head to the side not to see how easily it rips the piece of the meat, but I can still hear the smooth, effortless sound of the tearing skin. The dark red sky turns black, goes from bleeding out to death. Only a blood-freezing cry spreads across the land. A hyena responds in the distance with its bark, as if saying goodbye. But when the echo fades away, everything falls silent under the spell of dark. At the dawn, I see two companions lying on the ground, both bodies resting side by side in the deserted heart, both bodies covered with flies and scented dust blown over them in the winded night. A couple of vultures appear from the sky above the canyon. They land on the ground and sneak closer to the meal, ignoring their brother, rushing to the elephant, and they all feast. I'm scared. You don't hear us shouting on the streets, demanding actions, helping our future. I'm scared you don't see the rise of 1.18 degrees as critical, looking at it as an insignificant number. We swim in the ocean much warmer than in the 1960s, decades before we were born. Even though you know the importance of bees, you say there is no need for a law to reduce the use of pesticides, profiting from this dysfunctional and destructive agriculture scheme. I'm scared that the sea will flood the cities generations work hard to build, yet you show no will to take care of them. I'm scared that I bore you with numbers and figures, but these need to be seen. You might get annoyed at this piece, but since the Industrial Revolution, the acidity of surface ocean waters shown a 30% increase, and without an action, we will never be able to make those numbers decrease. I'm scared that these are just figures to you, and what doesn't affect you, you don't care about, because the proof of the opposite is nowhere to be found. One day you pretend global warming is not a thing, arguing with scientists that there's no proof of that happening. But before election day, you try to convince us you do the best you can to stop our planet from dying. You promise you reduce the meat production and grow better things we can eat. You ask for our opinion and make sure you have it recorded so you can say you listen and try, expecting to be rewarded, but based on your actions. There's no doubt. The headlines are the only thing you think about. You pretend you listen and hear us out. Smile, nod, shake hands, bow, then turn around. And the second the camera's off, you go back to your old ways and leave it be. I might be just a girl, drowning in a political sea, but at least I do what I can to defeat the people in power sacrificing our future for their own profit. I might be just a girl, but I'm standing in front of your gates with a fleet, heads filled with ideas of a worldwide peace, because if united, there is nothing we cannot achieve. I'm asking you, please, help us succeed. I met with my grandmother one hot sunny day at the end of July. I helped her sit on a blanket on a freshly cut grass. She looked me in the eyes and started with, "I must apologize." She picked up her letter from her purse, took my hand and held it in hers with such urgency, I didn't dare to say a word. She looked at me and the letter, cleared her voice and started to read. "I must apologize to you for my generation. We pretend we did everything we could to make the planet glow and thrive, yet we built factories and drilled in the ground and paid no attention to climate change because it was something so far in the future. But the future is now. I know my generation denies that climate change is on us, and for that, I must apologize. You might say we blew through carbon like it was going out of style, and you would be right, but we cannot change the past. So the only thing I can do is to accept the responsibility for our actions now, apologize for my generation and vow to help you out. I'm just a fish in the sea, but I hope the rest of the boomers would agree that we can still help the change." She looked at me, still holding my hand, dropped the letter in my lap. She kissed my forehead and we sat there in silence. 2 generations, both finally fighting, side by side. As I lay on the ground, a single blade of a leaf strokes my cheek, and I see particles of dust peacefully twirling in the air. When the balmy summer breeze changes its course, the shining dust lands in my hand. The sleeping clouds get moving, letting the blazing sun's rays cling to my porcelain face that absorbs the torrid heat of the midday sunlight. The sudden brightness makes my eyes close, but I don't see darkness, I see sparks. As I try to focus on a single spark, all of them slowly come together and create a picture. A little girl is running in the park, playfully chased by geese, reaching their long necks for the bread she holds in her hand. They try to steal a piece with their beaks. She runs towards a tree and climbs on the lowest branch, throws the bread on the ground and watches them eat. When she jumps back down, she falls onto the grass and laughs. As she runs towards me, she stops in a dandelion field, amazed. Tall, short, thick, thin, they are all trying to reach the sky. She carefully picks up the tallest one and places it in my palm. As I smell the sweet flower, she starts to laugh, takes the dandelion from my hand and does the same. Yellow dust colors the tip of her nose. She comes to me and throws herself into my arms. I relax with the image of a happy child on my mind, when a movement in my belly forces me to sit up and open my eyes. I place my hand on the bumpy side, smile and whisper, "I feel hope for you, my child. I'll do whatever I can to make this world a beautiful place. I'll make sure you could be a scientist, a politician, a president, a mother, and the wages will be fair. I'll make sure there will be cute polar bears in the Arctic, and no chickens packed in cages, and no pollution coming from the factories, and no bushfires burning the eucalyptus trees. I feel hope in every decision we make, because now I know I don't have to fix everything on my own. In this fight, I'm not alone."